Aie o ka I te kai, yo te manawai. Ma aie o ka I te maika, yo te manawai.
Just a few hundred years ago, the people of Easter Island were facing certain death, a disaster of their own making. By cutting down every tree on the island to move their unique but heavy statues, they destroyed the ecology of the land. Starvation and warfare decimated the population. Now, despite bouncing back from their brush with extinction, the Rapanui people are under threat once again.
This is a civilization that every day is potentially dying. And so my question is to the world, do you really want us to die? Do you really want to kill us?
Yo te manawai, ma aie o kai te maika, yo te manawai.
Hay una manipulación de los intereses foráneos con respecto a la gente de la isla. Hay una presión impresionante de todo índole, no solamente político, económico, social.
At their annual festival, the people of Easter Island celebrate their Polynesian culture. For the indigenous people of Easter Island, survival of their race, the Rapanui, is now their primary concern. Only 4,000 Rapanui remain on Easter Island, and although their roots are exclusively Polynesian, the island is ruled from the South American continent. The Rapanui people call their island the navel of the world, and indeed it's one of the most remote inhabited islands anywhere. Equidistant from French Polynesia and South America, Chile, which rules the island, is almost 4,000 kilometers away.
Todas las leyes no equitativas a las que nos han sometido en la historia de esta nación han sido muy esclavistas a nuestra forma de ser y de pensar.
Now the political struggle of the Rapanui people is being announced to the world. At the self-styled Rapanui Parliament, the island's elected chiefs listen to their latest decree, blasting Chile over its poor treatment of the islanders. The chiefs don't want independence from Chile. They simply want autonomy and the right to determine their own affairs. Tired of being ignored by the Chilean authorities, the Rapanui have taken their political struggle to the United Nations. They want Easter Island listed for decolonisation, a crucial first step to end Chile's colonial rule.
Many things has been done and behind of our back, without the knowledge of the people, in a way very aggressive way, in our point of view.
Leading the political campaign is the mayor of Easter Island, Petero Edmonds. He believes that Chile has never accepted that the Rapanui are a distinct culture that should be preserved.
Easter Island is another nation, it's a civilization. But again, our system, our law, our constitution says that we are united, we are one sole country. I find that very hypocrite way of placing us. In starting from that point, we are discriminated. We're discriminated in many ways.
Unlike other examples of colonialism in the Pacific, Chile has not been generous with services and infrastructure on the island. Although it has a sizable army and naval presence here, few roads in the island's town are paved and municipal services are primitive. Until quite recently, there was no high school here either. But with a ramshackle hospital, a couple of non-specialist doctors and thousands of miles from help, the greatest concern here is health.
And the people in Easter Island, they have a saying, if you want to die quick, go to the hospital. So really, we're being treated like children, and not really like a healthy children, like a moron children. That's the way we're treated in the island by the different governments of Chile.
As bizarre as it seems, Easter Island is considered an extension of the Chilean mainland, no different from any other small town in the country. It's run from the administrative port city of Valparaiso, where all the key decisions about the island are made. According to Chilean lawmakers, that is not about to change.
Violentamente, no se ocupa militarmente, sino que se incorpora, de acuerdo al tratado que ya comentamos, en forma voluntaria.
Senator Jorge Bush is a former admiral of the Chilean Navy who believes that the Rapanui people's campaign to decolonize the island is pointless, with no legal basis.
Yo creo que allí hay mucha exageración. ¿Y por qué hay exageración? Porque conviene amplificar una situación irreal. No existe un proceso colonizador para que se argumente frente al Comité de la Descolonización que mantiene Naciones Unidas, porque el fenómeno es absolutamente diferente.
The Rapanui have now taken their political campaign into the video age. In producing the island's first video music clip, the group Matatoa are hoping to use this very modern medium to help preserve a very ancient culture. But the new campaign for international attention is not going down well on the mainland.
Many times we had to silence ourselves because Chile might get mad or might block some kind of help to us, to the people of the island.
As the mayor, Petero Edmonds, clearly has the highest profile here, and he's not shy about speaking out against the Chilean authorities and their absolute control over island affairs. But his public statements have angered many people in Chile, sometimes resulting in serious threats to his safety.
Sometimes I'm being threatened, but I don't care. I believe in God. I am an eternal being. I don't care about my flesh and my bones. I know someday if they kill me, they kill the bone and the flesh, but they don't kill my soul.
So when you say you've been threatened, you've been physically threatened?
Yes, because of speaking about autonomy. because Chile doesn't want the island to be autonomy.
No tenemos ninguna relación cultural con Sudamérica. Nuestros valores, nuestras tradiciones, nuestras costumbres está conectado hacia la Polinesia. No es una cuestión de independizarnos, es una cuestión de valor cultural. Aquí hay un problema grave en este momento de la isla, que está colapsando la isla con respecto a la falta de control de los emigrantes que llegan a la isla.
The crater of Easter Island's famous volcano quarry is one of the Rapanui's most sacred sites. It's where all of the island's Moai statues come from. Edgard Hedeveri comes here at least once a week to be alone. In this place, he says he can sense the spirits of his ancestors and take strength from the ancient Moai statues. As a Rapanui tour operator, Edgard sees the core issue as persuading the Chileans that something has to change if the Rapanui identity is to be preserved.
Este es un llamado de SOS, por favor, ayúdanos. Que el gran problema que nosotros tenemos en la isla es convencer al Estado chileno que nosotros necesitamos una autonomía. Y es muy difícil convencer al Estado porque tiene una mentalidad muy cerrada. Difícilmente ellos pueden entender el valor de la cultura Rapanui.
Chile's human rights record on Easter Island has had a troubled history. In the 1950s and 60s, when the Chilean Navy ruled the island, it was made an offence for a native islander to speak rudely to a Chilean. After breaking this law, many Rapanui, including children, were publicly flogged and had their heads shaved. Nowadays, Chileans accept that the punishments were harsh, but they argue that a problem with excessive alcohol consumption by the Rapanui was to blame.
Castigos violentos, de violación de derechos humanos, eso no es cierto. Lo que ocurre es que en la isla, cuando llegaba el alcohol o cuando se producían alcohol, habían desórdenes y no se podían aplicar los castigos comunes y corrientes de la ley, porque el Código Indígena en Chile y la ley indígena autorizaba a castigos de acuerdo a la mentalidad isleña, y en todo caso
the islanders were seething with discontent.
But by the mid-60s, the Rapanui had had enough of the heavy-handed Chilean authorities. This rare silent footage was shot by a Canadian medical expedition to the island in 1965, when the islanders marched on the offices of the naval-appointed governor. It was a peaceful protest, but sensing a revolt, hundreds of troops were sent to the island to reassert control. Today, that sensitivity remains, even extending to the Rapanui's official relationships with some of their closest Pacific neighbours.
We like to be directly friends with the people of Australia, with the people of New Zealand, with our brothers in the Pacific. I mean, even that they prohibit us. We can't even be friends with our brothers in Tahiti.
Even Polynesian cultural events attract suspicion from the Chilean authorities, especially if foreigners are visiting. Just a couple of years ago, when the Bishop of Tahiti visited the island, the Chilean military sent an investigator to monitor his movements. Angry that such a visit might lead to feelings of Polynesian nationalism, the Chilean government officially rebuked the Catholic Church for sanctioning it. Mayor Edmund says the Chilean sensitivity makes communication with the outside world extremely difficult.
We have to be, hidden. and make some kind of a special program so they don't get, suspicious that, some kind of independence movement. I mean, how ridiculous, really. Really ridiculous.
But on the mainland, there are no apologies for Chile's strict rules governing official visits to the Rapanui.
Eso es lo que hay. Entonces, cuando aparece una autoridad, por muy autoridad que sea eclesiástica, de Tahití, tiene que ingresar por el sistema normal de ingreso a un país, en investigaciones, en la aduana, en extranjería, y después instalarse. Ahora, si él realiza ceremonias y cosas, naturalmente que tiene que avisarle a la autoridad religiosa correspondiente chilena lo que van a hacer.
The
Rapanui have never accepted that Chile has a legitimate claim to sovereignty over the island. A treaty was signed in 1888, but it was written in both Spanish and a version of the local language. While the Spanish version talked about Easter Island as becoming part of the Chilean state, the Rapanui version simply described Chile as a friend of the land, with no mention of sovereignty. Not long after the treaty was signed, Rapanui's last king was poisoned on a trip to the mainland. For the Rapanui, the experience of colonization in the 19th century lurched from one disaster to another.
Este buque llegó acá el 23 de octubre de 1862, que fue llevado 192 esclavos en ella para vender en el Perú. Demoraron 14 días en la navegación.
Juan Chavez often paints about Easter Island's tragic past. This picture reflects the vicious slave raids on the Rapanui in the 19th century. As one of the island's chiefs, he sees himself as a guardian of the Rapanui history. But Juan says that even when it comes to the island's most precious archaeological treasures, Chilean authorities show scant regard for their survival. A Japanese-funded UNESCO project gave $7 million to Chile for preservation work on the island, but only $1 million filtered through.
Pero la plata se usa en el continente, a pesar que viene con nombre de la Rapanui, que va a ir a arreglar los moai, pero no llega la plata.
With more than 1,500 major archaeological sites, Easter Island is one of the biggest open-air museums in the world. But the open air is destroying it. Harsh weather conditions and fungus are rotting many of the island's precious moai. A German company was found with the expertise and a special polymer to protect the moai, but the project was blocked.
And when we come to the paperwork, bureaucracy from Chile stopped it. I mean, I'm calling for help because this heritage is destroying, not by the cause of the people, by the cause of the weather.
But the effort made to preserve their unique archaeological heritage is just one of the Rapanui's struggles. In recent years, there's been a strong emphasis on preserving the broader culture through a revival of the Rapanui language. But even that is under pressure from the mainland.
There was a sense, at least the people, a general common sense that the language was being restricted because the Chileans were interested that everybody learn Spanish.
Yeah, but Vicky just told me now on the phone she's traveling tomorrow to the mainland. She'll be back.
Few Westerners have witnessed the struggle of the Rapanui firsthand, like American couple Ron and Nancy Weber. Both linguists, they've lived on the island for almost 20 years, solely dedicated to the task of keeping the Rapanui language alive.
It's true that the Rapanui language is eventually going to probably pass from the scene. As more and more Chileans come in, as there are more intermarrying, to see fewer languages, that would just make a whole lot of things easier. But of course that's without thinking about the importance that language is to culture, and language and culture both are to the identity of the Rapanui. And for them maintaining their Polynesian identity, staying connected with the rest of Polynesia, maintaining their own separateness as a people. The language is crucial to the maintenance even of their culture.
But preserving the language has many barriers. All official business is in Spanish, and unrestricted immigration from the mainland is creating a demographic time bomb for the Rapanui.
El alcohol puede ser un escape, incluso lo justifico, porque aquí hay un choque cultural. Hay mucha gente que sale de la isla que puede entender y puede soportar todos estos cambios, pero hay otra gente, jóvenes, que no ha salido de la isla y que no puede soportar porque no tiene punto de referencia.
There's a widespread feeling amongst the Rapanui that now is the time to act. They recognise that they are too remote and too small to push for full independence. But they are demanding autonomy from Chile, with full control over education, immigration and natural resources.
Queremos pegar el salto más grande, porque es el momento de pegar el salto. Si no se hace ahora y si seguimos dependiendo de un sistema anticuado, burocrático, podemos terminar, podemos morir, podemos desaparecer.
Having survived against the odds in pre-colonial times, the Rapanui of today are determined to follow the lead of their ancestors.
They showed us with the very little means they had. Today we have cars, we have clothes, we have telephone, we have shovels, we have hammers, we have all the tools that we need. Then they didn't have any of those. I mean, with stone, intelligence, and they did all this wonder. Why couldn't we do it today with all the modern tools? So I believe it's possible, but we need a little freedom.